All right. Well, getting off of social issues and politics.
Okay.
One of Jackal's favorite masturbatory images is Ace Frehley.
Right.
And I see Ace,
Yeah.
has spoken out this week about this whole Kiss, end of the road tour.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's so full of himself. This drug-addled loser who got basically booted from the band a couple of times.
Right.
He is now claiming, here we are. When did Kiss start out? What, like 73?
72, 3, 4,
somewhere around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're 45 years in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Kiss, or Gene Simmons more than anyone, talked about, Gene Simmons professes to be a real straight shooter, not a drinker, not a druggy guy, not anything, all business.
Sure.
He's all about the business of Kiss.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Talks about the problems that his former members have had, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever the case may be. Well, Ace now, who supposedly is clean and sober,
Right.
45 years later, now he's proclaiming, I'm the guy that they always wanted me to be. Why am I not in the band right now?
Because you sort of blew it.
Yeah, 45 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time. That's a lifetime for some people. So anyway, here's some Ace,
Right.
talking about the fact that Kiss can't do a final tour without me.
Yeah, pal.
Because I'm an important cog in this machine.
Yeah, sure.
I'm important here.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't claim my place in the Kiss makeup era, forget it, pal.
Yeah, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, this whole end of the road bullshit tour, it's illegitimate because I'm not part of this. So here we go. Here we go.
Hi, this is Ace Frehley, and you're watching Loudwire. We'll be right back.
So obviously this is compliments of Loudwire.
Those guys, they change like the weather. 6 months ago, when Paul was asked, is Ace going to be involved in future concerts, he said absolutely not. The past is the past, and now is now. And the last week or two, he's saying, I wouldn't rule it out. And then he did another interview where he said there'll probably be some old members coming back as guests for the new tour, for the last tour. But he's not mentioning any names. Well,
that's because nothing's set in stone. There's no contract signed. It's just like, hey, perhaps somebody might show up.
Yeah, or maybe there is a contract signed for Kulik.
Yeah.
Could be.
Maybe it's not you, Ace.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Maybe if he wanted to be involved, he should have shut his fucking hole.
Right. Yeah. Maybe Mark St. John signed on.
Yeah, from his cold dead hand.
Yeah. Maybe Vicky Vincent signed on.
Yeah, could be.
Do a show.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Yeah.
Testing the waters. I think they're waiting for promoters to come back and say, well, we'll give you X amount of dollars if Ace is involved and Peter's involved. It's all about money with those guys.
Well, okay, I'll agree with that.
I don't believe that there's any more value in having either of them in. Do you?
Well, I think this goes back to actually something you actually said last week.
Which is?
You said if there's a show that's tanking,
yeah,
that a promoter said, okay, well, if you can get Vinny to come on, or Bruce, or Ace, or Peter, or something, and we can announce them as a special guest, it might help sell a few tickets.
Yeah. The only time I could see this having a value is whatever the very last show is.
Okay.
The very, very last show that Kiss is going to do.
The big hurrah.
Yeah. The final thing, I could see Ace and Peter showing up for.
Okay.
In makeup and, sitting Thayer and Eric Singer down and just saying, guys, come on. It's the last time. With the first show we did, the last show we did, same lineup, you know. But other than that, is there any value to the fucking Cleveland show getting Ace Frehley?
No. Not unless it was a surprise walk on. It was like, did you see that?
Yeah. It's the Steven Adler effect.
Yeah.
Same as Adler did it. And I mean, it was cool that he showed up at 2-3 places, but I don't think they had like higher ticket prices or something.
Not because of that, no.
Because of it, they just had him show up.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be part of it. And if Ace doesn't want to be part of it, then go play the fucking Agora. You know, I mean, in the end, that's got to be Gene's attitude is you don't want to play in front of 18,000 people for this walk-on or that walk-on, then go fucking hawk your Spaceman record in front of 1,200 people.
Right.
If you draw that many. Because he's not going to draw that many. Do you think Ace...
No, of course not.
Outside of New York is going to do more than 1,200 people a city?
No.
I don't think he does that many.
No. I mean, what does House of Blues typically hold? 900 to 1,200 people?
A few more, but I mean, it can hold 18, but I would say...
Well, depending on which one you play.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
All right. He's not going to sell out the House of Blues.
No, I don't think so.
No, so he'll play the House of Blues for a Spaceman tour, and he'll get a decent crowd, but it won't be a sellout.
Yeah.
So you're talking 900 to 12, maybe 1,500 people at the most.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to do gangbuster business.
Not at all.
And they'll be the first to admit it, especially Gene. I mean, like I said you said you saw that interview. You know, I said when Doc McGee gets a call from a promoter and they say, we'll give you double the amount of money with Ace and Peter, we're going to get the call because, you know, who wouldn't do that, you know?
Well, I agree with that. If they're going to double the money, you know. Okay. So what does Kiss command on a nightly basis? What, a $500,000? $750,000?
Probably something like that, yeah.
Okay. So if some promoter said, I'll give you $1.5 million if Ace and Peter show up.
Yeah, then they do it.
Yeah, then they do it, of course. And they say, okay, Ace, Peter, we'll give you, $100,000 apiece.
Right.
Or whatever it is. $50,000 or $25,000 apiece.
Yeah. They'll give you they're still going to give you the hired hand fee. They're not going to give you a quarter.
Yeah.
Pull yourself in here, Ace. You're not going to get more than you would on a solo show.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just not.
And you don't even have to play the whole show. You just come out and play 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah. I can't see him paying him more than $10,000. Can you for like 3 songs?
Yeah, for 3 songs, no. Just to walk on 3 songs out.
Yeah. $10,000, $8,000 if you'll do it without the fucking makeup. Since we have another guy that wears the makeup now.
And I'll give you a hotel and a ride to the airport.
That's right.
Now, if I come back, I'm gonna take my throne back, or I'm not coming back.
All right, my throne.
His throne.
His throne.
Guess he's not coming back.
I guess not.
There's no way at this point, going into the finality of it, that they're going to fucking throw Thayer under the bus.
No.
No chance.
Hey, let's have 2 spacemen out there.
That would be funny.
That would be funny. or just have Tommy step off the stage and have Ace come in and see if anybody knows the difference.
Yeah. That would be good.
That would be great.
I don't do anything halfway in life. I never did. You know, when I decided to leave the band twice.
You mean when you were asked to leave the band twice?
When you were thrown out.
Yeah. Don't think that was a voluntary decision. They probably made that decision for you.
When I decided.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you decided, all right. You took the letter from the manager that said you're out, and you decided to leave.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm a Taurus and I'm really stubborn.
Oh, I hate people who use their astrological sign.
Well, he's a Taurus, dude.
Yeah.
He's stubborn that way.
You know, I'm a Vertigo, and, you know, us Vertigos, I'm a Capricorn, and, you know, us Capricorns.
Yeah.
It's like if you're using your astrological sign to define yourself, you got nothing.
Right.
Seriously. You know, I'm a Pisces, and, you know, we Pisces. Shut up.
Yeah. Here's a water Pisces. Now fucking shut your hole.
Are you telling me if you were born 30 days earlier, you wouldn't be sucking cock on a street corner?
Is that what you think Ace does now?
I have no idea. But anybody who defines themselves that way is an idiot. I'm a Taurus, and I'm stubborn, and shut up.
You know, I mean, both times when I quit the band, they didn't.
I mean, when you were asked to leave the band.
And both times when he quit.
Yeah, okay.
When he quit.
Sure.
A little revisionist history there.
Right, sure.
Want me to leave. And you know, after a week or two, I said, maybe I didn't make the right decision.
Yeah, well, maybe I didn't make the right decision because I was being a dick.
Well, he didn't make that decision at all.
Yeah, well, he made the decision to act like a dick and be asked to leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
And things weren't panning out the way they thought they would, but, you know, it was too late. It's because, like, once I do something, you know, it's done. Well, I mean, I'm reading comments. A lot of fans are saying if I'm not involved in the next tour, they're not going.
Shut up.
Yeah, because that's one thing Kiss fans do.
Yeah.
They support the band.
Yeah, I'm not going, pal.
Kiss fans are well known for not being supportive.
Yeah, you're not involved. I'm not going.
Yeah, pal. Well, Jackal's not going to go.
Yeah.
You know, so that's probably making Paul and Gene a little nervous because, you know, they want to optimize the tour and make as much money as possible, you know. Touring with Kiss is expensive, you know, because of the elaborate show. So, you know, they're probably, you know, running numbers now as we speak with Doc. I mean, I can't imagine them trying to do an end-of-the-road tour with the same lineup. I mean, they've been playing for 15 years. There's nothing special about doing one last big tour with the same lineup.
Well, there is, because if you'll never see another Kiss show again, that's what makes it special.
Yeah. If you're going to lose the other two like you did the first two, that's kind of it. You know, if Gene and Paul ain't going to be there anymore, that's kind of the end of the road.
Exactly.
Gene and Paul have been Kiss for fucking 30 whatever years.
It's 45 years.
No, 30 of the 40.
Oh, without the other guys.
Yeah, it's been Paul and Gene and other guys.
Yeah.
For how many years? Since 80? Is that right? 80?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
80, 90, 2000, 2010, 38 years. For 38 years, they've been fucking the band. Gene and Paul and whoever else. So stop with your importance, dick. You're only in the band for 10 fucking years. Shut up.
I don't get it. I mean, I told Paul and Gene, I'm the guy now that you've always wanted me to be. The whole career and all the times you've worked with me, you know, I was a screw-up and I was always late and didn't show up on time and miss recording sessions. And I was telling them this year, I'm now the guy you always wanted me to be.
Yeah, because you don't have the money to be a screw-up anymore. Isn't that generally why people act out like that? Because they have fucking money and fame where they can act like dicks?
What a stupid statement that is. It's just like, okay, I admit it. I was a fuck up, and that's why I'm not in the band. That's why I don't have the millions and the riches these guys have. But you know what? I've come about. I've changed my ways. I'm ready to play with you guys now.
Yeah.
It's a little too late.
Yeah.
They're calling it quits. It's over.
I'm going to be honest. If Paul Stanley wasn't still in this band, he'd probably be back. I honestly think that if Gene could make this decision by himself, Gene would do it, because Gene would just see the dollars.
Of course.
But Paul fucking can't stand him.
Yeah.
Paul don't want to do... I mean, if you listen to Paul's audiobook or read his book, Paul does not like Ace. And there's just there's no way Paul Stanley's going to put up with this shit.
I'm the guy you always wanted me to be. I'm ready to play now.
And they already gave you your second chance, dummy, and you blew it. You had your second chance on the first farewell run, and it didn't go well. And you got farewelled right the fuck out of the band again. So now what? They owe you a third chance? Fuck off. If he bought a car, if Ace bought a car,
unless he took it from a fan and didn't pay him for it.
I know, but I just if Ace bought a car,
yes,
and it was a piece of shit,
yes,
and then Ace went back to that dealer one last time and bought another car,
right,
and it was still a piece of shit, would Ace go back to that dealer a third time?
Of course not.
He'd be like, fuck this, there's other car dealers out there. Guess what? Tommy Thayer is fucking the owner of fucking Action Auto now. Tommy Thayer took the position. Sorry, dude, you lost. Move on. Get a tour together with Vinnie Vincent and Bruce Kulick and call it the 3 tiers of Kiss or whatever, and fucking play that Get gig. It'd probably make you more money. Don't you think?
Unless they, obviously they'd have to split that money 3 ways.
Yeah, but it would probably still draw better than what he's doing now.
Right.
He'd sell out rooms with just doing three sets of Kiss from the 3 different eras. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It really is. It's tough to say.
I think they would do pretty good, actually.
All right. Here we go.
And hopefully it sinks in,
Yeah. It's up to Gene and Paul to make up their mind whether they want the great Ace as part of their...
Huh. Mm-hmm. And I'll answer Assfire in the chat room. Why did Paul do the song and whatever with Ace? He did a one-off. It doesn't mean he wants to tour with the guy. Of course he could show up through a studio one day and do it.
Or just then send in an MP3.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did do a video, but I mean, that only takes a day. That's not proof. And it's still, and I still go back to Paul. There's no chance. Paul Stanley does not seem like a super friendly cat.
No, Paul is very, very standoffish guy.
He seems like a curmudgeon, and there's no way is he going to invite anything. He's got $100 and $200 million in the bank, or however much money Paul Stanley has. No fucking way in hell is he going to fucking deal with any bullshit at this point in his life.
He doesn't have to. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. He's perfectly content to have Tommy Thayer that causes him no hassle fucking show up and play those shows. He hits the notes. He gets out of the way. He lets Paul and Ace or Paul and Gene be the stars and doesn't complain. Why would he bring in somebody that thinks that he's going to be an equal star to try to compete with on their final fucking tour? That's never going to happen. That's just dumb.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, whatever. Ace shows up, Ace doesn't show up. Who's going to give a shit?
I agree.
It doesn't matter. They'll show up for the last show, and that'll be it. That's my prediction right now.
Okay.
Final show of the Kistery, they'll bring those 2 out.
Right.
And maybe even Vinny.
Sure.
And Bruce.
And Mark St. John.
Not Mark St. John. Not Eric Carr.
Yeah, they'll be there in the Kiss caskets.
In spirit.
Yeah.
That would be funny if they just brought 2 Kiss caskets out and just set them there.
Yeah, they make like amplifiers out of them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, they sit on the sides of the stages.
Sit on top of the caskets and just play rock and roll all night.
Exactly. Hit it there, Mark. Wow, wow, wow.
Just light it on fire for Burn, Bitch, Burn.
Right. All right, I'm going to play some Kiss. Got some Ace here lined up, some Shock Me.
All right.
All right, so here it is. It's Kiss exclusively here
On your classic metal show.